Hello everybody. So we've about made it through a week, so that's good. Today we are going to be taking some notes. So the first set of notes I do want you to write down, so if you need to pause to write it down or anything. And then the second set of notes with examples, I will post pictures of those so you don't have to write down the examples. So what we're going to be looking at this morning is we do this hypothesis test, and then we get this p-value and we make a decision, and we say that there's evidence for something or there's not evidence for something. And so what if we make the wrong decision? And that's what we're going to be looking at today, are errors in hypothesis testing. And there are two types of errors that can be made. The first is what we call a type 1 error. And so in a type 1 error, the null hypothesis is actually true, but our mistake is that we reject it. Sometimes this is called a false positive. Then we have a type 2 error, that's the second kind, and that's where your null hypothesis is actually false, but we fail to reject it, so we believe it's true. And so what I always do and draw out is like a little diagram to help us look at, are we making the right decision? If we didn't make the right decision, what type of error it was. So along the top of this diagram, this is going to be the truth, like what is actually true. Is the null true or is it actually false? And then over here, we're going to look at our decision. Did we reject or fail to reject? So, and this is all based on the null. So the null is either true or it's false. And then we can either reject the null or we can fail to reject. So if the null is true and we reject it, that's what we should not have done. That's the mistake. And so that would be a type 1 error where the null is true but we mistakenly reject it. So this is a type 1 error. If the null is false and we reject it, that's what we were supposed to do. So we're good to go. If the null is true and we fail to reject it, that's what we're supposed to do because we believe it's true. So we're good to go. But if the null is false and we fail to reject it, meaning we think it's true, then we've made a type 2 error. So when you do this, what's really important when you look at situations about what's a type 1 and type 2 error, we don't always have to look at it as a specific like 1 proportion z-test or 2 proportion or whatever. We just need to know in general, what is the null looking at and what's the alternative so that we can figure out what is a type 1 and type 2 error. So I'm going to do a second video that's just of examples. And on these examples, I just want you to watch. You can write it down if you want, but I'm going to post the picture of the examples because it's a lot of words, so you don't have to actually write that one down.